On May 12, 2006, a surgeon reported to the police that there were several voices arguing at the door every night, but every time he opened the door, there was no one. According to him, every time he went to sleep at about 3 a.m., he would hear the voices of two men and a woman at the door, and one of them was scolding the other man and the woman was crying. But every time he walked to the door, the voices would disappear. He suspected that someone was maliciously harassing him because the price was very cheap when he bought the house, and he only lived in it for 2 months. He tried to find the man who sold him the house at that time, but the man had disappeared. The transfer procedures wrote Yin Weidong, and the relevant departments just looked into it and didn't care. On June 9, 2006, the legal representative of a real estate company reported that their chairman Yin Weidong had been missing for 3 months. Therefore, he asked the relevant departments for help, hoping to find his whereabouts. After many efforts, it was finally determined that Yin Weidong disappeared on February 10th, and the last place he appeared was a high-end independent villa in the suburbs. After tracing it down, it turned out to be the independent villa of this surgeon, because he called home there, but no one answered at that time. After the relevant parties arrived at the villa, they began to search for evidence. Everything was normal inside, and there was no remains of Yin Weidong. Finally, a police dog was brought in. As soon as the police dog entered the door, it screamed in the cloakroom at the entrance and kept scratching at the large mirror in the cloakroom. So, the investigators immediately broke one of the mirrors, and everyone was shocked. Two people were embedded in the wall behind the thin mirror. They were very young, a man and a woman, naked. Then they broke the mirror opposite and were even more surprised. There was a middle-aged man in his 50s inside. After identity verification, the middle-aged man was the chairman Yin Weidong. The cause of death was drowning. The man and woman opposite were secretaries in Yin Weidong's company. The cause of death was an overdose of cocaine. According to the legal representative of the company, the woman was Wei Yuanyuan, the chairman's lover, and the man was Li Ruofeng. Although he was a man, he was also the chairman's lover, because Yin Weidong's preference is to take in any man or woman who looks good. So these two people became his most favored lovers. 3 months ago, Yin Weidong drove home after getting drunk and never met again. As for how these 3 people died, there is no clue. The most suspicious thing is that Yin Weidong sold the house to the doctor a month after his death, which is completely inexplicable. So the investigators simply stayed in the village to investigate. Strange things happened on June 30th. At 5 o'clock in the morning of that day, noisy fighting sounds came from the hole in the wall again. The investigators rushed in with a pistol. According to the investigator, he saw a young man waving a torch in his hand, covered in blood and seriously injured. He was carrying the body of an old man on his back and standing on the middle bed. There was nothing under the bed, but there were roars from animals. The investigators asked him to stop, but he was very scared and shouted for help. At this time, some more investigators came in, and chickens were crowing outside. Suddenly, there was a loud noise and a lot of black smoke came out of the cave. After people calmed down, they asked the young man what happened. He said that one night, a bunch of reptiles crawled in and he started to light a fire to drive them away. Later, a lot of dark shadows came and crawled on the ground. He carried the body on his back and stepped on the shadows. Later, it was even more terrifying. A voice came from outside, calling Yu Beihai's name. Yu Beihai was dead, but he started to ask and answer questions from outside. He was very scared and wanted to put the body down. As a result, a bunch of animals came in, such as snakes, dogs, and pigs. They started to bite him. He could only fight back with torches. Everyone thought he was crazy because no one saw anything. They asked him what he had been doing for so many days. He said he had been here all the time, and he said that only 1 day and 1 night had passed. Then he died. The forensic doctor later found a lot of biological toxins in his blood, and there were many animal bites and claws on his body. In short, what he experienced has become a mystery.